There is a fundamental difference between men and women. This is confrontational in our society, but I'm going to keep this simple to start. I might address the social idiocy in the future, but for now, I'll keep it simple. If you disagree with my statement that there is a fundamental difference between men and women, you have a drastically different definition of man and woman, male and female. If you want, I'm willing to discuss this. I will probably consider touching on the gender crisis at some point, and you might be surprised what I have to say on that subject. But common sense first. Men versus women. I'll break this up into 3 parts. Physical, mental, and spiritual. Physically. The difference between men and women are obvious. Specifically, how about reproductive organs? Even as a child, I knew there was a difference. I remember having a confrontation with a little girl when I was a little boy, actually at a church. If I remember well enough, this audacious little girl made some disparaging remark and included a comment about my boy anatomy. And my extremely young self, feeling indignant and assaulted, chided back that at least I had something there. I was a child, yet I knew, and obviously she knew, there was a physical difference between us. We were far from reaching a point in development that would augment drastically even more differences physically between us, and likely a far more serious problem if that conversation had occurred when we were older. The natural difference is obvious. Even a child can perceive and understand. So physically, I don't need to touch on other generalities of men versus women. Plenty of people will argue men tend to be stronger, or they'll argue faster, or whatever. Let's point out another obvious, something that a man cannot do. Cannot do. Can't. That a woman can. Birth children. A man cannot do this. And this blatant fact is a huge contributor to acknowledging the difference between men and women. This simple fact influences how men and women develop, even mentally. We've now reached the second topic, mental. Men and women think differently. Merely acknowledging or recognizing that women have the capability to bear and birth children influences mental development or experiences. It influences it, whether it is from concerns, desires, hopes, dreams. There are some who advocate treating boys and girls, or men and women, exactly the same. This is not pragmatic. From my own experience and many others, we have a bountiful amount of observations. Women think differently than men. Is this a bad thing? This is not anything new. This is common sense. Why is this even a point of contention? Who has not noticed this observation? Societies that try to do away with this common sense that men and women are fundamentally different regardless of the reasons, it is simply stupid. It screams against reality of nature and the sexes, which has been obvious since, I think, the first man and woman. Watching some progressive tendencies to combat the realities of our men and women's natural differences can be bemusing, but also disturbing and tragic at times. It can be destructive to the spirit, which brings us to the third category, spirit. We are all spiritual. Man and woman, we're spiritual. How do we know? How could we love those whom have hurt us if it weren't so? Jesus said, "But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. And pray for them which despitefully use you, and persecute you. How can we do this if we aren't spiritual? We do have a spiritual nature, and if we are true to ourselves and acknowledge that we are spiritual and seek to know more about the most important of these three things, the spiritual, mental, physical, spiritual is the most important. Some people will attempt to deny this fundamental part of our nature. Without that aspect of our being, how can we love, not lust? Truly love. Indeed, we're spiritual. And because of being spiritual, we should seek to know more about our spiritual nature, male or female. It doesn't matter. We can be heirs together of the grace of life. Without a doubt, men and women are different physically and mentally, as a whole or in general. But let's take it to the individual. We are all unique, every single one of us. We have our own soul. We have our own thoughts, our own wills. Will we seek the gift God has provided us regardless of our identity? Let's not deny our spiritual nature. Let's pursue the way, the truth, and the life. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one in Christ Jesus.